How you doing, guys? And today I am talking to the guys because this is Guy Talk as part of Pro Prep. Steph's made a video on Girl Talk, so talking about how as a female, what happens when you get ready for a competition, what's going on with the body, but this one is exclusively for the guys. So from the male point of view, I can only really empathise with what really goes on with the female body, and I think the changes are probably, I hope I'm not offending anyone by saying this, but probably more severe, much more profound things going on with the female body when you're getting ready for a competition. So I mean, the loss of some of your secondary sex characteristics, for example, so the loss of breast tissue, for example, that could be I can see how that could be a major issue for a lot of females getting ready for competitions and recovering after the competition as well. And I can see why a lot of them end up maybe going down the cosmetic surgery route off of that, and I completely understand it. Also, the loss of menarche as well throughout the competition. I mean, as a woman, that must be something that's a real sort of mind job for them as well. But from a guy's point of view, I don't think we have to deal with anything quite as severe as that at all. And I don't think it's quite as much as a head fuck, really, pardon the French. So a few things that I think are obvious that kind of happen to you when you're getting ready for a competition. You lose size, yeah? And most of us, we all got into bodybuilding to start with because we wanted to be big and we wanted to be strong. And it took me a long time to sort of get to grips with the fact that, okay, you're not going to be as big as you were in the off season. You're not going to be as strong as you were in the off season. And it's just something that you're going to have to make peace with. And I think you get better at that as you continue on your journey through the bodybuilding. So after a couple of years, you kind of get to grips with it. Things like clothes not fitting quite as well, that's a little bit frustrating. I mean, you end up with having two different wardrobes, but again, it's just part of the process. And you know what? When you start getting in shape, inevitably you start looking bigger. You do start looking bigger as the muscles get more ripped. You start liking the way that your abs are coming through and things like that. So it's a different sort of look from that sort of bigger off-season sort of look. I suppose it depends on the individual as well, because some of you guys will be happy to walk around a little bit fluffier. Some people want to look a little bit more movie star or model in the off-season. So I mean, it's going to be different for different people in that respect. There does come a point though, I think, when you're getting really extreme down to the sort of really low end body fat levels, whereby you're looking at yourself in the mirror and thinking, am I looking small? Am I not looking small? It is a head fuck, certainly. I've always found it a little bit like that. But then when I get my photographs back from competitions, or I see videos of myself, I think, wow, absolutely unbelievable, you've managed to produce that look. But I always kind of think, maybe see that 6 to 8 weeks out look, if you could just hold that, that's a good look, I think. So getting your head around losing weight takes time. You're just going to have to make peace with it. The other thing that kind of happens, guys, I've heard people talk about this, is your libido kind of goes a little bit. And if you think about it from a biological perspective, it kind of makes sense. So if you're eating low calories, if you are really low in body fat, then the body is really trying to do everything it possibly can to conserve energy. And the last thing it wants you doing is expending energy by reproducing, when really what you should be doing is going out and seeking food and trying to put on weight. So your libido is going to go a little bit. You do kind of get tunnel visioned towards the end of the contest prep period as well. So you maybe don't notice it as much, but if you've got an understanding partner, then everything's probably going to be fine on that front. And maybe you sit down if that's an issue and you say, look, I'm really focused on this. I might not going to be feeling the same as I normally am, but don't worry, I'll make it up to you. I don't know. Okay, so that's one thing. Now, as I said at the start of this video, I don't think the changes that occur are quite as profound in guys. Now, the caveat I would put on that is I'm a natural bodybuilder. I've always been a natural bodybuilder. But knowing guys that take anabolic steroids, I can only begin to imagine some of the things that some of those guys go through from hearing stories from those guys down the years. And it's one of the reasons why I've always it's one of the reasons why I've always stayed natural and I've stayed away from drugs. It's some of the side effects that you get from that. So if we talk about this for a little second, when you take anabolic steroids, you're going to get some testicular atrophy. So your balls are going to shrink, and they're going to be shrunk for a long time until your body's own natural testosterone production kicks in. And I don't know how I deal with that. I mean, that must be a real head fuck, thinking that your own manhood is being affected in that sort of way. I mean, it must do a lot of things to a lot of people, and that kind of always scared me. So that's one reason why, again, I've stayed away from it, because I'm like, okay, well, that's my sexual health, and that means a lot to me as a man, and I don't want to be messing about with that sort of stuff, because I want to project an image of a healthy, strong guy, and it's almost like an oxymoron, like it's a contradiction. Okay, so you're this big, strong, healthy guy, but you can't reproduce. I mean, it doesn't really make sense for me. So that must be a real head thing for guys, and it's something that you should be discussing. If you're talking to people about going down that route, then you need to know about that sort of stuff. How long does it take to come back? The other sort of fabled thing that people talk about is something that's the slang term is called Deca Dick. And this is whereby guys will take anabolic steroids, specifically Deca, and then they can't get an erection for 4, 5, 6 months after doing this because of, well, in fact, I'm not an expert. I don't know how it works, so I'm not going to say why it happens or it doesn't happen, but presumably the testosterone cycle that was implemented was not effective. But again, you've got testicular atrophy and then you can't get an erection for 6 months. I mean, that must really affect your mental health. And that's not cool. I've spoke to guys and they've told me about their depression that they've had, how it's really affected them. And again, I don't want to be dealing with any of that sort of stuff at all. Again, it's an oxymoron. You're big, you're strong, you're healthy. But again, your sexual health is compromised. Other things, hair loss. My father's got male pattern baldness. I've been fortunate that I got a good head of hair from my mother's side of things. It's nice and thick, but I wouldn't want to lose my hair as well. And I mean, these are side effects that people are going to experience as they take these sort of things, particularly as they approach a contest where they might be taking different combinations, different chemicals, different drugs, and it might get more and more severe. Okay, so continuing down this route, because we've kind of altered tack a little bit, and we're now talking about really reasons why I didn't use anabolic steroids rather than things that happen during contests, Brett. But one of the other reasons why I've never used them is, aside from those sort of side effects, from a professional capacity, as someone who is working in a field whereby I'm teaching people about diet, health and nutrition, I don't think it would have served my career well at all in that realms, working with professional individuals looking like a meathead, because there is a stereotype associated with guys with big muscles, particularly that abnormal cartoonesque muscular size. I mean, I'm a professional natural bodybuilder, and there's no doubt in my mind that if I'd taken anabolic steroids, I would have been able to be 17 or 18 stone in the off season. I mean, I'm touching 14 and a half, 15 stone as a natural in the off season anyway. Imagine I'm much bigger. That can be intimidating for your colleagues, for sure. For my students, definitely. There's no doubt about that. But again, it's you're teaching health, but you're clearly abusing your body. So it's not something that I think would have been particularly good for my career. The other thing we've got to think about as well is, although we live in 2019, in this day and age, everyone's like, okay, be an individual, be whatever you want. Many of the people that are filling these positions who are going to be senior to yourself, those are a baby boomer generation. And they are really, if they're finishing their career or they're coming down, then they're coming at this from a different point of view of you. They're still looking at you and thinking, okay, this is maybe not the sort of person that we want to employ or that is maybe going to be ideal for these sort of positions. Also, from another point of view, I don't think that women find it particularly attractive. Certainly, I think it's quite cool seeing IFBB professional bodybuilders. Whether or not I'd want to look like that on a day-to-day basis, I don't know. I think it could be a bit grotesque. I mean, I respect it, but that amount of muscle size, again, I'm not into that necessarily. And again, I don't think it's necessarily attractive. I don't think a lot of women are necessarily attracted to that as well. I think it's very, very niche from that point of view as well. This is something I never spoke about on camera, but I have known close friends who have died directly associated with anabolic steroid use as well. People that have died, yeah? Now, they've taken drugs and it has accelerated underlying heart conditions, problems that they've had. They've had to undergo surgery to correct issues occurring associated with anabolic steroid use. There's no doubt about it, anabolic steroids will increase your risk of cardiovascular disease. There's tons of research out there, and the thing that ultimately gets a lot of these guys is heart attacks. So I've known people that have died associated with anabolic steroid use. At the same time, I've known a lot of guys who have spoken confidence to me and told me about mental health problems that they've had associated with use, depression, because of things like their sexual health associated with it, loss of their hair, things like this. And again, it just turns me off the whole sort of thing. So there we go, guys. Those are the things that kind of go on within your body associated with the physiological changes that are going to occur after you get ready for competition. Those are some of the reasons why I stayed clean. I mean, I could probably write down half a dozen more, but I think for now that's more than enough. I don't like ending on negatives, so let's end this on a positive. After the competition diet, I like eating burgers. A burger is one of my favourite things to have, yeah. Really, really good. Especially a good cheeseburger, yeah. Excellent. Once you start eating food again, yeah, so getting the energy back into you after your competition, so you've had your post-contest meal or whatever you had, and you've started introducing calories back in your diet. Once you start putting a little bit of fat back on your body, you start filling out your clothes again, your libido is going to come back. If you had that sort of tunnel vision mentality, you're going to start thinking about different things again and get a little bit more balance back into your life. So if you do that in a fairly balanced way, so you gain the weight back over, say, a couple of weeks, rather than just smashing it on all together right away, or prolonging the process with like a 4 or 5 months period of getting the weight back on, then don't worry. Things are going to come back quite quickly, and you're going to be feeling certainly a lot better necessarily about yourself and your strength, filling out your clothes again. Your libido is going to come back, and you're probably going to be a lot more balanced again. So these things are not permanent. Anabolic steroid side of things, some of those things are reversible, but again, if the hair goes, then you're probably looking at transplants, etc. Anyway, that's our video on things going on associated with contest prep and reasons why I stayed clean. If you like this video, certainly like, share, give a comment. I'd love to hear your experiences, how you've got on in the past associated with contests, what things did you find difficult, what things do people not talk about that you wish that people talked about a little bit more. Add all that sort of stuff in, and keep checking out our videos on Pro Prep. Remember, we do live Q&As, so send some questions to us, and I look forward to making some more videos and hearing from all you guys. Peace out.